Hello friends and welcome back to the channel. Thank you for clicking on the video. So let's talk about skinny privilege. A while ago I did a video about pretty privilege and it's gaining a bit of steam now. So after this video, please watch that one. But I thought I would talk about skinny privilege. People do talk about it, but I thought I would like to talk about it because I have been at both ends of the spectrum. And something happened to me the other day, which I I thought I would just talk about. It's not really a story time, but I thought I would talk about it. So I thought I'd talk about how people view women differently depending on how much they weigh, and there is definitely a certain privilege that comes from being a skinny woman, from being a thin woman, from fitting into the ideal body type that society seems to like, that men seems to like. Something happened to me the other day. I was just running just a general errand day. I was just going into town. I needed a few bits, just walked into town. When I go into town, I don't really care about what I look like. Obviously, I shower and I make sure that I'm presentable for the world. But I wasn't dressing for the male gaze. I wasn't thinking, oh, I want to look really sexy and cute today. I just put on a black dress. It was a floaty black dress, couldn't really see my body. And I put on some gladiator sandals. And I kind of thought, yeah, I look cute, but I wasn't trying to be really hot. I wasn't trying to be Megan Fox, maybe circa 2010. I was just going about my everyday doing some errands. Did my errands and I went to cross the street. And now in the UK, you can cross wherever you want. It's not like America, where I think in America you have to cross at the crossing, don't you? But in the UK, it's not really like that. And in my small little town, so I just went to cross the road. And there was a crossing at the top, but I couldn't really be bothered to walk the crossing. So I just went to cross the road. And this has never happened to me before. I just went to the side of the road and I thought, just wait for the cars to pass. All of a sudden, this man comes along in an Audi, slams on his brakes. I was like, why is he doing that? And he just literally did that and just beckoned me across the road. And he waited for me to cross the road. And I literally nearly dropped my shopping because I was like, what just happened? What just happened there? A man that was driving, I was not even at the crossing, and he stopped and let me cross the road. And he waited for me. And inside, it was from what I can remember, relatively young, relatively attractive man. And he literally stopped his car on purpose for me to cross the road. And I thought to myself, why did this happen? And then I realized, oh, I'm starting to get the skinny privilege. This is what other girls talk about on TikTok. I am finally starting to experience this now, where men are taking more notice of me, men are treating me better, they're treating me in a different way than they did before. And obviously, I haven't got any younger, I've aged, I've got older, but now I was just becoming more visible. I was becoming more visible to men. Men were noticing me, and the only thing that changed is that I had lost weight. It obviously completely shocked me because this had never happened to me before. A man had physically stopped his car so I could cross the road. And I was just in such shock. And it highlighted to me the difference with how men treat skinny women to how men treat overweight women. And I've been in this game a long time. I've had to block certain keywords. There's certain things you can't say in my comment section. So you can't say fat, you can't say lose weight, you can't say you need to lose weight. I have blocked those words because obviously when I first started my content, a lot of the comments that kept coming up were you're single because you're fat, you need to lose weight because you're fat. I had to block a lot of words for my mental health because particularly men just saw that as the only reason why I was single, and they couldn't get their head around the fact that there was other factors. I feel like I have experienced the internet at both sides. It's so weird. I feel In my other videos, when I was bigger on camera, I got much more sympathy from men. I got people being more understanding, maybe it was like the crabs in the bucket syndrome of people thinking, oh, she's like one of us. That's fine. We have sympathy for her. But I don't know, now that my videos get shown to a wider audience, I'm also getting more hate for being skinny. It's weird because I feel any woman that expresses their opinion that doesn't look a certain way tends to just get driven off the internet. They tend to just get driven off the internet by misogyny from men. I generally think if I'd started my channel as a thin, skinny white woman, I would have blown up by now. I 100% would have blown up. I would have been on podcasts. People would have listened to my voice if I was in a skinny body. And I know 1,000% I would be further along if I was thinner. And for me, people would always just say, lose weight, lose weight. But what they didn't understand is that it was difficult for me to lose weight because I was in so much emotional pain. You have to think how difficult it is for someone to lose weight when they're in an apartment, they're in a job they hate, they have no friends, they have no family around them, they have no boyfriend, they've never been loved. And you expect that person to just sit on their own and eat 800 calories a day and be thin. Well, I'm telling you now, that's not going to happen. Most people are overweight because there's some kind of emotional issue or they've been through some kind of trauma. Obviously, not all people because everyone's different, but most people that are overweight have gone through something. That's why they are the way they are. And it's only now that I feel more power in my life. And when I gained more of a sense of control and more of a sense of, oh, my life is going to turn around, that's when it became easier. And for context, if I can find this piece of film, about a year ago, I filmed a video, and it was a video that happened where I was fat shamed on a run, and I filmed it. And I didn't like the way I looked on camera, so I didn't post it. But also, it wasn't one of my better videos, and I was trying to talk about something, and I just, sometimes you feel when you just don't quite get the video, it just doesn't quite work. So I kind of scrapped it, and then I went through all my baggage of what happened in the other flat when I moved, so I just never posted it. But it was a video about how I was fat shamed on a run, and if I can find it, I'll post it here. But this literally happened to me this morning, and I thought it kind of needs to be said. This is generally what happened to me this morning. So basically, I'm on a day off work, and I thought, okay, I'll film something, day off work. I usually don't go for a run on Thursday morning because I'm usually at work, and I thought, okay, I'll just go for a run. Standard run, uneventful, and I don't run a long way by any means, but I just run for my mental health. This has never happened to me before, but I was fat shamed on a run. So I was going for my run, and I was at a point where I was just walking. I don't run the whole way. And then there was someone to the left of me, and they were quite a way away, maybe 20 meters. And then all of a sudden they just shouted out to me out of nowhere, "Cheer up, love." This happens to me quite often. I will literally be minding my own business, doing my own thing. And every now and then I'll get this comment from a man. A man will say to me, "Cheer up, smile, why are you so miserable?" And I'm literally just walking. It's literally just how my face rests. I raised my voice to a higher pitch and just said, "Oh, I'm fine, I'm just a bit tired." And then he said he was just being a bit creepy. And bear in mind, I didn't really notice this man, but I think I'd probably seen him a few times on my run, and he has a dog. And I think I just mentioned once, oh, you know, his dog looked nice. And I think I've seen him before with his wife. So I didn't really see him as a threat. my guard wasn't up like, oh my God, there's a man, I need to run faster. I wasn't even stressed at all. But the thing he said next, he said, I've seen you running for quite a while and it's not making any difference to you. And I took that in the wrong way because obviously I run for my mental health, because I know I don't really run far enough for me to lose weight. What am I probably losing? 250 calories? I know that's not going to make me lose weight because I'm physically not running far enough. But then after that, he said, I've noticed that you've been running. It's not really doing a lot for you. It's not making a difference. And then he said, you're just a hump like me. This man was probably 60. He had a massive beer belly. We were not in the same weight shape at all. But the fact that he just had to comment on it, the fact that he had to comment on my weight and say that my running hadn't made a difference, I hadn't become any slimmer. And it really shocked me because I'm quite a strong person. I'm used to getting hate online. But I think it was just the first time that someone had physically called me fat or overweight to my face. I haven't had that since maybe I was at school, maybe 20 years ago. My first response, I couldn't help it, was just to cry. And I had to think, don't cry. What would David Goggins do? David Goggins wouldn't cry. And I think I pretty much just walked home just to deal with it. I was doing the thing that people are supposed to do to lose weight, and I was still getting shamed for it. So that will show you the difference of how I was treated. Now I'm getting thinner. That man stopped his car, let me pass. And then when I was bigger, I was shamed. I was shamed for running. I was shamed for trying to lose weight. And someone was saying that I wasn't thin enough, I wasn't skinny enough. And this is the thing I have found dating, is that obviously I've only dated British men and I've only been around British men, and white British men like their women rail thin. They like their women with 0 breasts, they like them tiny waist, like really skinny, no bounce basically. They like their women a certain way. And this is what I've always envied about other communities, such as the Latina community. Is it Latinx? I'll probably get cancelled. I don't fully know. I'm ignorant. They celebrate curvy women, and even the Black community celebrate curvy women. We do not have that in white culture. We do not have that in white culture where white curvy women are celebrated. Let's think. I'm thinking maybe years ago, Kelly Brook. I don't know if that will resonate around the world, but Kelly Brook was a curvy white woman. We never really had that. Growing up, I always had to look up to J-Lo, maybe Beyonce, as people that had a curvy body like me. I never had anyone to look up to in that respect. It was always, when you're white, it was heroin chic. It was, especially when I was younger, it was the Kate Mosses. It was, God, I can't even remember now. But when I was growing up, it was generally, you had to be thin, to get a boyfriend. And obviously that played in my mind about being thin. And through my journey, I would always get triggered because I would always be dating someone, and then I would always feel that I would lap the woman in every category. I'd always feel I was prettier than the woman, I was funnier than the woman, I was more intelligent than the woman. And I'm not saying that to brag. I know it's going to come off really arrogant, but I was just saying that. I'm just saying that because in my head, I felt like I lapped the woman in every category. They were always thinner than me. The men that I was dating would ultimately not want to have a relationship with me. They would always pick a skinnier woman than me that was less in their power. That's the narrative that I always felt when I was growing up, that men would constantly overlook me. I'd always be too much for men. I'd always be too powerful, and they'd always pick a woman less in their power. They'd always pick basically a golden retriever over me. And this narrative would just play in my head all the time. Why are these men picking these skinny women that are golden retrievers? And I would internalize that. I would internalize that and think maybe if I was just skinnier, I would get the men that I wanted by being skinny. Maybe it was a narrative I played in my head, because when I was intimate with men, they'd never complain about my body. They'd always say that they loved my body, they loved how curvy it was. And you see men loving curvy women all the time. So I generally don't know. And I'm conscious that younger women are watching my videos now, so I don't want to be the person that says, be skinny to get a man. But at the same time, that's what I've experienced. What I've experienced is that the thinner women always seem to have boyfriends over the larger women. There seems to be that skinny privilege is a thing. And not even in terms of relationships. I would find working corporate, the skinnier women got the high powered jobs. If it was over a woman that was like dumpy and a skinny woman, the skinny woman would always get the corporate job over the dumpy woman. It was exactly the same in corporate. I felt that this skinny privilege almost carried through my whole life, of the skinnier women got the best men, the skinnier women got the best jobs. Even in terms of friendships, I've found at times where I was leaner, I had less friends. I've always thought that I was attractive, and I've always known that I have quite a nice, pretty, symmetrical face, which people seem to like. Even on the video, the most viral video I have of I've never had a boyfriend, people would say that I was pretty. That's never really been an issue. A lot of the time men will say I'm ugly, but I know they're just hurting. That's why they're saying that I'm ugly. But I've always found that if I go through a stage where I am leaner, it is harder to make friends because women don't like me. It's the only time where I think skinny privilege can turn on its head, because I think sometimes when you are skinny, women don't like you. Basically, I've always found that women do the best when they are attractive, but not so attractive that other women hate them. So I'm thinking, say, like an Angelina Jolie. If you think about Angelina Jolie, does she have a big friendship group? No. Why doesn't she have a big friendship group? I mean, a visible friendship group. She might have a load of female friends. I am just projecting here. But she doesn't have a large friendship group because people don't want her around her husband, because she is obviously so stunning. And I'm thinking, when she was a lot younger, did you ever see Angelina Jolie with a massive friendship group out and about? No. That's because she is so attractive that women will naturally not gravitate towards her, because she will draw up insecurities in women. And I've always found that times when I was leaner, I struggled more making friends because women would hate me. Because I obviously pretty, have the big boobs, women didn't always like me for that. They always thought I was gonna steal their men. And then I was thinking to myself, maybe it was subconscious. Maybe subconsciously I made myself bigger, because then I thought, if I'm bigger, women will be my friend. Women will be my friend if I'm bigger, because then I'm not a threat. And I do find it interesting how when I'm leaner, I have less friends, and then when I'm bigger, I have more friends. More people want to be my friend, more people are comfortable being around me. But then when I get skinnier, people don't want to be my friend as much, which I do find interesting. And then even in terms of the online space, I have watched, I won't name names because it's not fair, but I have watched people in my field that do appear on podcasts slowly lose weight. And I've seen them lose weight, and these are women, and I've watched the women get leaner or lose weight. And it's because there is a certain type of skinny privilege where if you're skinny, Men are more likely to click on your videos if you look a certain way. Even I notice if I have a thumbnail where I'm looking more attractive, I'll get more views. Or if I have a thumbnail where I'm pulling like a silly face, I get less views. Skinny privilege is real. It is a thing. Being skinny only works with you. It doesn't really work against you. And do you notice how we had the body positivity movement? We had that for, was it maybe, I don't know, 30 seconds? We had that for 30 seconds where women could be whatever body shape they wanted to be. And now, have you noticed all the celebrities that were already thin, but they are clearly using Ozempic to be even thinner? These are women that didn't even need Ozempic, but they're using it to be scarily thin. Some of the women you see on the red carpet now, they don't just look thin, they look like the type of images that I remember seeing when you would see victims from the Holocaust in concentration camps. That kind of skinniness where it goes beyond just someone being naturally lean to these people look really ill. These people look really ill. It's because sadly, skinny privilege is a thing. The skinny actresses get more work. And as I know full well, the camera does add pounds. I don't know what it is about being on camera, but sometimes I look at myself and I think, I don't even look like that. I look thinner in real life. And then when I'm on camera, I look bigger. And I've just had to accept it that this is why you probably won't realize it unless you film yourself on a consistent basis. But the camera does make you look bigger than you are. I think the camera makes you look 10 pounds heavier than you actually are. That's why, sadly, most actresses are on the lean side. I would say to look lean on camera, you probably have to be slightly underweight than looking at someone in real life and thinking, oh yeah, they're slim. That's why the actresses you see are always on the lean side, unfortunately. People think I'm just changing just to get a boyfriend, but it was actually for a number of reasons. And one of the reasons is to enter the United States, you need to pass a medical, which I find ironic because there's people in the States having Taco Bell and Chick-fil-A, and I need to get ripped as fuck just to enter the country, which I do find funny, but at the end of the day, it's your customs and I follow what I have to follow. So for me, the main reason is I need to pass this medical to enter the States. So that's why I need to become healthier and more lean. So that's why I'm doing it. I've given up with men now. So that's why I'm doing it, because I don't want to get so far and be so close and then fail the medical. And I haven't researched enough into this. I don't know if it's literally an easy medical that I have to pass, but all I was just looking down the checklist, and on one of the checklists is that I need to pass a medical. And I was like, shit, I don't want to fail at the last hurdle. And in me not being healthy, me being turned down my chance to work in the US because I can't pass the medical. So I'd rather just get that out of the way now so it's done. I think we'll always have this. I think skinny privilege will always be a thing. I don't think it's ever going to go away. And I think, especially now with Ozempic, skinny privilege has gone back to where the thing is, people used to value being skinny as someone working hard, someone eating right, someone working out. But now we just view skinniness as, oh, someone took Ozempic. That's why they're skinny. So there isn't that prestige that there used to be over being skinny, over having skinny privilege, because that doesn't really exist now. But in the same way, being skinny, being thin, it still does mean that men treat you better, sadly. So let me know in the comments. And obviously there are certain words on my channel that are blocked. So if your comment doesn't come through, it's probably because it's hit a keyword and it's been blocked. I just wanted to talk about how skinny privilege is real. It is a thing. It's not going away. And it's unfortunately something I've had to live with and deal with. Thanks for watching.